for us, at least find out about the case that happened. Okay, then unfortunately losing their jobs. They walk out with a big redundancy package.
No, you just, I'm not interested in trying somewhere else.
So you put the time in and you end up with nothing.
6,000.
Yeah.
Curtis Park in the Creeklands area was taken over for the occasion by fairy floss, face painting, a jumping castle, music, the Red Cross, St Vincent de Paul, a giant barbecue, Community Aid Abroad, Rotary, Apex, the Smith family, Greening Australia, the Scouts, and of course at this time of year, Father Christmas. None of the charity organisations was charged any fees, so all the money raised on the day by the individual groups can be put to full use in their own fields. A fitting way to mark International Human Rights Day.
We decided we would have Amnesty in the Park and invite other charities along to that to raise people's awareness and to encourage them to give to charities at this time of the year.
The day was such a success that the local branch of Amnesty International expects the venture will be repeated each year from now on.
Our 14 finalists have been gleaned from over 70 semi-finalists from throughout northern New South Wales. Rugby League is well represented, with Australian players Paul Harrigan and Mark Sargent making the telecast. Rachel McQuillan continues her good form on the tennis court and won a bronze medal at the Olympics. Anthony Wingett flexes his muscles more than most and is the current Mr Universe. Vicky Roycroft, a former winner of the Sports Star Award, is again a finalist, as is Charlene Machin, who again won 2 World Karate Championships. Inverell Scott Sunderland makes another appearance after good performances in Europe and also Australia. Nerida Falconer from Scott's Head, Veronica Lee from the Central Coast, Daphne Shaw of Laurelton, Chris Nicholson of Newcastle and Tamworth's Michael York represent surfing, surf lifesaving, lawn bowls, sailing and hockey respectively and are worthy finalists. Sean Crichton of Armidale blitzed the steeplechase arena and won a World Student Games cross-country title, while Matthew Ryan won 2 gold medals in equestrian events at the Barcelona Olympics. The NBN St George Sports Star of the Year Award will be telecast on January the 22nd.
Once considered the passport to a dream job, a university degree is no longer even a guarantee to keep its holder off the dole queue. Since finishing her arts degree at the University of Newcastle last month, Chris Page has been looking for a job, but so far without success.
I'd say it's going to be pretty difficult to get the job I want, but at the moment I'll be pretty happy to get a job, to get in somewhere, get a foot in the ground, get some experience behind me, get some more skills.
Chris is not alone. The latest survey by the Graduate Careers Council of Australia indicates only 47% of those who earned their degree in the past year are in full-time employment. Newcastle Uni's figures show 22% of last year's graduates are seeking work.
They're the worst figures in terms of unemployment rates and length of unemployment that graduates are experiencing.
The jobless rate varies according to each department. All this year's graduates from medicine, physics, surveying, computer engineering and architecture have found jobs, while more than half of those with a civil engineering degree are still searching. While the recession is being blamed for taking away some employment, the university's career officers say the higher jobless percentage is partly due to the fact there's increasingly more graduates. From the University of Newcastle alone, more than 2,500 people descended upon the job markets this year.
Graduates aren't just a rare elite, they're not just the top couple in a workforce anymore, but some employers have large numbers of graduates.
Farmers in the coal industry have been fighting for more than 10 years on the issue of salinity. Water used to wash coal can become extremely saline. Farmers say mine discharges into rivers and creeks are heightening already dangerous levels of salt. Mining companies can get a licence to discharge the saline water into the Hunter, but with the drought and poor river flow, the releases have been restricted, and so the waste water is building up.
The mines have gone for 12 months basically with no ability to discharge. A lot of the dams are full and there's simply nowhere else to go. It's really reached crunch point, I suppose, as far as getting rid of it is concerned.
And so a crisis meeting organised by the Hunter Valley Catchment Management Trust trying to organise a safe disposal solution. The Coal Association says flushes from Glenbourne Dam could dilute combined discharges from mines running on a 1 to 2 month period. Farmers have accepted the move on the proviso salt levels are strictly monitored and kept under recommended levels.
The lifeblood of the Hunter is the water in the river, and we've got to look after it. If we don't look after it, God help the Hunter.
Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Newcastle's King Edward Park was transformed into a twilight fairyland last night by a sea of voices and candles, including a Mexican wave. Thousands joined together in singing some time-honoured carols. Some of the traditions of the night were given a modern touch, from an upbeat away in a manger to batteries replacing flames. Among the crowd there was even a silent night in rugby league player Sam Stewart. Special guest Kamal was joined by Romper Room's Miss Kim for a duet. Although the deep-voiced one seemed to need a little help with the lyrics. The finale featured a stage full of Santas, perhaps one of their last gigs, before they begin the big sleigh run next week. Scott Bevan, NBN News.
With only 5 more days until Santa arrives, those eager to join in the countdown at tonight's big program were rolling in, making the most of the best vantage points. Early sales on candles were booming, some were getting into the swing, others were settling in for an evening of Christmas carols.
It's an event that draws the cream of the coast surfing talent. 8 years ago, a youngster named Mark Sainsbury won the cadet division. Sainsbury went on to win the World Amateur Crown, but died tragically in August, drowning at his home break. Today, the locals honoured their hero, naming a memorial trophy after him. It was a hotly contested tournament, competitors making the most out of the 2 to 3 foot waves. Avoca's Nick Leslie won the cadet section, but consistent surfing from Bryce Warby, who finished second, earned him the prized Memorial Award. In the juniors, Nora Head's Ian Ross beat Chad Pacer from North Avoca. The open event was a 4-way battle. Dave Nielsen from Umina Beach emerged the winner, adding the Open trophy to the juniors title he claimed last year.
An immunisation kit offering what it says is a simple and safe alternative to routine vaccinations is available through the post. In all, 19 bottles of unlabelled pills claim to provide protection against diseases like whooping cough, measles, mumps and rubella. The Melbourne-based manufacturer says the preparations stimulate the body's mechanisms to heal itself. In other words, they help lessen human susceptibility to diseases. A wide range of health magazines now offer natural alternatives to immunisation, an issue which has medical health authorities sounding the alarm bells.
It's the considered opinion of certainly of the National Health and Medical Research Council and of the New South Wales Health Department that it is ineffective.
A Sydney-based homeopathic doctor, somebody trained in both homeopathy and conventional medicine, said the case for both sides can be argued successfully. On the one hand is an unproven, relatively safe method. On the other is a scientifically proven procedure which carries its own risks. Conventional methods of immunisation can cause severe side effects, ranging from fevers to neurological problems, a risk the medical profession believes is worthwhile.
The risk of side effects from the immunisation are far less than the risk of catching the disease.
Melinda Smith, NBN News.
A small group of protesters picketed the offices of DF McCloy. The Belmont-based company recently bought the controversial Greenpoint site around Lake Macquarie. It plans to develop part of the land, but these protesters want it to remain natural bush for public use. The area owned by McCloy's isn't clearly marked as private property, and people continue to walk and fish where they have for decades. Last week, McCloy's employed a security guard to patrol the area. According to the new owners, they did this after property on the site was vandalised. The demonstration today was sparked by the fact that the security guard was armed.
Well, we're very concerned about the appearance of armed guards.
Developer Jeff McCloy says the guard is no longer carrying a weapon, but he defended his company's right to employ a security guard and to prevent the public from using the land.
Well, why can't I have a picnic in their backyards? It's the same story, you know, it is our property, quite simply.
McCloy's will tomorrow submit 2 development applications to council. Jane Anderson, NBN News. Head of the Hunt Area Health Service, Dr Tim Smythe, unveiled the plan this afternoon. It coincided with a preview of the new 66-bed building at Newcastle's James Fletcher Psychiatric Hospital. The proposal is to open psychiatric wards at 3 hospitals in the region, the Mater, the John Hunter and Maitland. There would also be more emphasis on caring for psychiatric patients once they return to the community.
Well, the whole focus of mental health services has changed from a concentration on hospitals and hospital beds to having the services out in the community and helping people to stay in the community. And that's been the focus at both a national and a state level.
The role of the area's 2 existing psychiatric hospitals would also change. The new James Fletcher would deal mainly with patients who need rehabilitation. However, Morisset would be scaled down with an emphasis on patients who need long-term care.
People have mental illness and a drug and alcohol problem, and forensic psychiatry patients.
Later this week, the Health Minister will announce the new members of the Hunter Area Health Service Board. That board will decide whether the proposed changes to mental health care are implemented.
It was the night of the Yankee connection. Charlie Swartz and Scott Bloomquist were out to make a big impact, and that's exactly what they did. In their first outing, Bloomquist qualified for the Stars Sprint by slashing 3 seconds off the previous 8-lap track record. The American went on to win the sprint, with Lismore's Grenville Anderson second. The 25-lap ISP Masters was another battle between Anderson and Bloomquist, but Anderson's luck ran out with a few laps remaining. Bloomquist took the lead from the restart and held on to take the checkered flag from partner Swartz, with Don McEwen third and Ron Pine fourth.
The historic announcement was made last night at the Knights' annual general meeting. The club's first skipper and inspiration for players and followers alike, Slam Sam has been given life membership of the Knights, the first person to win that honour. Sam is holidaying on the Gold Coast and was unavailable for comment. Meanwhile, more league news, and 2 new faces have joined the Knights board after a vote of 121 foundation members. Terry Lawler and Kevin Lynch were elected on the 9-man committee.
It's always good, in my opinion, to get new and fresh ideas onto a board after a number of years.
Predictions are little will change for the Knights, the club hoping to improve on this year's results. The New South Wales League is still staggered by Newcastle's support base, while overall spectator numbers were down in the Winfield Cup. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Breeze passing through the marshes. Terrible.
Rather than the crowded coastal highway, many opted for an air ticket on additional services now operating to and from Coffs. As part of the expanding role of the Coffs Harbour Airport, which includes an almost complete new customs and passenger hall, Eastern Australia Airlines has been allowed to fly direct from Sydney to Coffs. The first scheduled flight touched down this morning, and the company claims that extra services will be needed to meet demand. As well as the convenience of the coastal hop, tourist packages are being offered from Sydney.
He may have been on the circuit for almost a decade, but tonight Daryl Keim will be the new face on the track. After years of competing on a shoestring budget, Keim's career and Commodore got the kickstart it needed when he was named in the test team.
I was pretty over the moon, really. It's probably a highlight to race against the Americans, and been wanting to do it for about 10 years, but I never had the car or the sponsors to have a bit of a chance, but now we have.
Much needed equipment was purchased. New wheels were the first addition.
Also, the engine, he's really looked after me, the engine. The engine's got some good gear in it now, which we've never ever had before. Aluminium heads, roller cam, and it's going great.
He may be a novice on the test scene, but Keim certainly knows his opponents.
They're fast. They're real fast, but we'll give them a shake-up. We'll give them something to take back home.
Woolgoolga's Beach Reserve was the stage for this weekend's championships, hosted by the local volunteer Sea Rescue Squad. In brilliant sunshine, the masses were entertained with fierce competition between the 40 competitors. Local North Coast choppers featured prominently in the winner's circle, with H. Winkle from Dorrigo taking out the state combination title. Dorrigo's Michael McKenzie wielded his way to victory late this afternoon in the Tree Championships, just ahead of T. Kennedy from Grafton Dorrigo's C. Kellett. Apart from a twisted ankle, the competition was injury-free, with organisers impressed by the standard of strength and skill displayed.
It was a magic day on the water, light nor'easterly winds creating a picture-perfect image of the fleet in Broken Bay. While spectators took advantage of the sunshine, 90 boats made a slow voyage north. Ahead of them, a 225 nautical mile trip to Coffs Harbour. The light winds meant light work on deck, most of the crews taking the opportunity to relax before clearing the headland. As the field finally spread, the bigger yachts cleared away, although race favourite, the 60-foot Pocket Maxi Innkeeper, struggled to make an early impact. Life wasn't so tough on the spectator boats. Some were just tugging along for the ride. It was Victorian 50-footer Rockstar that led the yachts out of Pittwater, with Pemberton Advertising, which won the race under a different name last year, close behind. Late this afternoon, the boats were making their way past Newcastle. Innkeeper had surged back into the lead from Pemberton and Rockstar. The serenity of the moment belied the torture test facing these two crews from Woolgoolga. They set out early this morning on a 30-kilometre trek from Coffs to their home beach. Two other crews from Coffs and Nambucca Heads pulled out, leaving the local boys to battle it out themselves. They say only mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the hot sun. We'll add boaties to the list. In the end, the Brown crew beat home the Reds in a tight finish. A race record and a $1,000 cheque eased the pain of those blisters.
The atmosphere around the region shops was calmer than yesterday's frenzied flurries. Despite this, the retailers reported today's sales ticked over at a constant pace. The last 2 days tipped the scales of what had shaped up as a pre-Christmas lull.
Our store at Katara had an all-time record trading day yesterday, and we actually achieved the last year's figures in here, and that was on 5 hours less trading.
Retailers around the region have reported similar trends, a pleasing result for many shopkeepers who rely on trading during the month of December for 25% of their annual profit. But Mr Baxter believes the last 2 days of record sales was due to another growing trend.
Over the last 2 or 3 years now, people have been getting money for Christmas, and they know these sales or the clearances are on soon after that, and they're taking advantage of that situation.
And there's also the basic human instinct.
And I think everybody too likes a bargain.
Mr Baxter says with many people returning to work tomorrow, another busy day is expected. But while some chose to hover around the shops, thousands of others made the most of the public holiday, flocking to the beach to savour the summer sun. With temperatures in the high 20s, the crystal clear water provided some welcome relief. Catherine Lamond, NBN News.
Like moths to a lantern, the rally has attracted caravan owners from 52 clubs throughout Australia. The major event is held every 3 years, with each state taking its turn to organise details, from the venue to the keepsakes. 425 vans have registered this year, meaning shower and toilet facilities for more than 1,200 visitors like Tasmanians Gwen and Ernie Scott.
It takes about 3 years to save up for it, you know, it takes every dollar we earn sort of thing.
We couldn't sleep the night before we left. We were just so excited about it, and we've been counting the days.
The 10-day rally has even attracted international interest. Scotsman Andrew McCartney enjoying the cultural exchange.
With the Scottish nationalists, they're not as big, not as large as this.
It's a nomadic holiday lifestyle that caravanners say they wouldn't have any other way.
We enjoy this sort of life. We enjoy going around, seeing people, seeing the country, and that's what it's about. It's a crazy life, I suppose, if you'd like to put it that way, but it's a good life.
Rally President Jim Alexander says Maitland has welcomed them with open arms. He estimates each enthusiast would spend an average of between $50 to $100 a day, making the visitors popular with locals.
A great boost to the city, and they love us.
Melinda Smith, NBN News.
Although confronted with advertisements designed to shock them into slowing down, thousands of motorists are loath to do so, according to the latest figures from the police's Operation Safe Arrival. On the Hunters Road, speeding has been the biggest problem since Christmas Eve. The Maitland District officers have handed out 926 speeding tickets, a 120% increase on last year. Their Newcastle counterparts have issued almost 1,000.
I think they're just in a hurry to get to their destination, and they don't heed the warnings that's out there. We've reported 923 motorists for exceeding the speed limit since the start of the operation.
But the pressure for people to ease off the accelerator will be greater if Roads Minister Wal Murray has his way. He wants a lower speed limit during poor weather and for the 10 to 15 kilometre leeway usually given to motorists to be dropped.
We need to get the speed limits down to mean what they say. Otherwise, they're just held up to ridicule.
But others believe the Roads Minister has money in mind with his proposals.
What we're seeing are revenue measures, tax gathering, masquerading as road safety measures.
Another Murray suggestion for more built-up areas to have a 40 kilometre speed limit has been welcomed.
Putting 40 kilometre areas into built-up areas is a very good idea. Policing it could create problems, but I believe it'll reduce our accident rate and will slow the traffic flow down.
Scott Bevan, NBN News.